Well, well, well. We have finally made it. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we made it. You know, we made it, baby. What is up, you guys? It is your boy Phoenix Brighton here, and today we are talking about my favorite team in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks. And this is going to be a very interesting video because arguably this might be one of my biggest underdog teams heading into the 2025 season. And I don't think anybody can disagree with that. But before we get into today's video, like and subscribe. We are on the road to getting to 700 subscribers. I have a playlist talking about every team in the NFL. But anyways, enough said. Let's get into the video. And their off season. We obviously got to talk about their off season. This has to be one of the weirdest off seasons I've ever seen in my life. Like, you lost and gained players at literally every position. For example, Geno Smith, he got traded. Who did they got to replace him? Sam Darnold. We replaced it Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. What did we get? We got Cooper Kupp and MVS. We lost DeMontre Jones. Who did we get to replace him? DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay, to be honest, that's probably a better addition. Who did we lose for Sam Howell? Drew Lock. And Jared Merrow, I guess, if you want to count him. You kind of get what I mean. We lost players, but we gained players. And I can't say if this team is worse or better after the season. Because on the one hand, I do think DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are better receivers than MVS and Cooper Kupp. But on the other hand, I also think Sam Darnold is, in my opinion, a better quarterback than Geno Smith, and also DeMontre Jones is way worse than DeMarcus Lawrence. So you can kind of get, there's like checks and balances with this team. And obviously, I have to talk about the Sam Darnold signing. Sam Darnold, one of the most controversial signings, I think, in the 2025 season. I think everybody can agree with this. This can either blossom to one of the best QB signings of all time, or it could just hit you right in the head and the face. Kind of the same thing though with the Cooper Kupp signing. Listen, I didn't mind signing Cooper Kupp, but a 3-year deal for Cooper Kupp, he's gonna turn 35. Dude, he's gonna turn 35 before, all of that. And I say, again, the contract is like a short-term option, but a long-term option, that's pretty freaking bad. And now we got to talk about the NFL depth chart. And obviously, I think the QB depth chart in Seattle is very interesting because I feel like there's an interesting QB battle in terms of the backup quarterback position. Obviously, you have Sam Darnold starting, but Jalen Merrow or Drew Lock is very interesting because Jalen Merrow, although didn't have a great preseason, was decent at least. And Drew Lock obviously is the more vet, and he has more experience in the playbook, and etc., etc. But you know what you're going to get out of Drew Lock, though. That's the thing. Running backs, I'm kind of concerned outside of Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, but I do think these two will be very solid at that position nonetheless. Wide receiving core, again, outside of Cooper Kupp, who I'm even a little concerned with, and JSN, this receiving core is kind of concerning. I do like Jake Bobo. Troy Horton, you're kind of just hoping that he can pan out, and then MVS is MVS. You kind of know what you're getting out of him, which is a decent receiver. Tight end, I'm really hoping that Elijah Arrow starts, because if A.J. Barner doesn't starting, that's not a great thing, to be honest. The offensive line is very solid, with probably the best offensive line we've ever had, in terms of just starters and depth in general, with like Jalen Shundell, Opie, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the center, Abraham Lucas, Anthony Bradford, Christian Haynes, Greg Zabel, who we just drafted, and Charles Cross. Obviously, I love the Greg Zabel pick. If you guys did not see my first-round pick, I think this was a great move, and I was so happy that we drafted an offensive lineman. Because, simple put it, we just don't draft offensive linemen in the first round, period. We finally did it. Then the defense, which is promising but concerning at the same time. For example, our defensive line, like our general defensive line, not our edge rushers, we have Jaden Reed, Byron Murphy, and Leonard Williams. Solid, but the depth of it is very garbage outside of Jonathan Hankins. Edge rushers, it's actually probably very solid in terms of depth. Bafe Mafe, DeMarcus Lawrence. We also have Derek Hall, who we drafted, I think, was it the last year or the year before that? I don't remember. And then a Genoa Vosu. Then we also have Tracy Knight, Everest Jones, which are very solid players at that. Then our secondary, which is Reek Woolen, Cody Bryant, Julian Love, Josh Jobe, and Devin Witherspoon. I do like the Nick Eberwarby pick. Very solid depth in terms of the safety position. But I'm still kind of concerned that Josh Jobe, out of anything, is indeed might be a starting corner. I'm not saying that Josh Jobe is terrible. I'm just saying I would have much rather had someone else playing that position. And heck, let's just go look at free agency right now. Best remaining corner back free agents. Let's just see here. I'm genuinely just curious to see who's even available. There's Asante Samuel. There's that's one. Asante Samuel is available. We also have corners, free agent types. No. So, like again, Asante Samuel is, in my opinion, one of the best examples. Oh my god, of course it's restricted. I just want a list. Can I just get a list? Please. No, apparently not, because, of course, things just have to be blocked. I'm not even in the app anymore. Why am I blocked? Anyway, like, obviously just Asante Samuel alone, I feel like there are actually genuinely some solid corners left. This needs to be updated. Rasul Douglas is available. He's actually a very solid corner. I'm surprised he's actually a remaining free agent. Obviously, I already said Asante Samuel. Justin Simmons, even though he's not corner, still a solid safety option if you want to move one of your safeties to corner. But that's kind of just the point. Is that what I'm trying to say is very solid group, but again, I just don't know how this team is going to do with all these additions. Obviously, I think this team lives or dies with Sam Darnold and him being good. If he's good, this team might be potentially a playoff contending team this year. If not, there's a very good chance that we potentially have a very struggling and long season in 2025. So now let's go over floor and ceiling of this team. And starting off in week 1, I think we will get a win against San Francisco no matter what, I feel like. So I think we do get the win at home. But then we lose out on the road against Pittsburgh. We get the win at home against New Orleans Saints. Then we lose on the road against Arizona. We lose at home against Tampa Bay. I think we do get the win on the road against Jacksonville. And then we lose on the road or lose at home against Houston. We get a bye week. Then we lose on the road against the Commanders. We get the win at home against Arizona. Then we lose back-to-back games, which is the Rams and the Titans. We lose at home against the Vikings. We lose on the road against the Falcons, but we do get the win at home against Indianapolis. We lose at home against LA. We get the win on the road against Carolina, but then we lose on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. So the floor of this team is 6-11. honestly pretty accurate in terms of a floor I would personally predict for this team anyway, if I didn't even went and look at the schedule. Now, best case scenario. Obviously, still win week 1. I still think you lose week 2 as well. Then you win at home again against New Orleans. You get the win on the road against Arizona. You get the win at home against Tampa. You still win on the road against Jacksonville. I think you do get the win at home against Houston on the bye. Then you lose to the Commanders still on the road. You get the win at home against Arizona still. You still lose on the road against the Rams, but you get the win on the road against Tennessee. You get the win at home against the Vikings. Win on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Get the win at home against Indianapolis. We get the win at home against LA. We still get the win on the road against Carolina, but we lose on the road against San Francisco. So this team's ceiling to me is 13-4, which is a little bit surprising. But again, it's the NFC West where a lot of teams are kind of unpredictable right now, except for the LA Rams. Like, I'm not going to lie, literally the entire division could potentially have a losing record besides the LA Rams. I mean that quite literally. But again, I think Seattle's going 13-4? Probably not. But in terms of what I think could potentially. But again, there's a lot of tough matchups. And again, you kind of do have to sweep at least one team in their division to even have a shot in terms of having a 13-4 record. But anyways, guys, that is going to be it for this. I hope you guys enjoy. And the next video you see will be my predictions of the 2025 season, which will be a long one. So grab your popcorn for the next one. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Peace.